am Niharika. Together we are the hosts for the Artificial Intelligence, Machine Learning and Analytics leg of Sapience 2018. It's time to start the panel discussion.
The topic for panel discussion is Preparing India to Lead in the Age of Artificial Intelligence.
Artificial intelligence is galvanizing design and redesign of innovative business models to make them more contemporary and also relevant in a futuristic context. Preparedness is not only applicable to business entities but also to nations. Artificial intelligence relies on various computer algorithms to solve problems and deliver value to its users. AI systems perceive the world to collect data, analyze and understand the collected information to make informed decisions, and by learning from experience to alter their learning.
AI adds value to a business model in terms of accuracy, efficiency, customer contentment through personalization. All businesses are leveraging AI-based systems by integrating a multitude of technologies like computer vision for sense as is used by Facebook to recommend people in a picture, natural language processing for comprehension as is used by our beloved Alexa, Cortana and Siri to answer to our queries, expert systems where AI helps in fields like medical diagnostics and legal research where data is gathered from millions of data sources to synthesize information and present it to a user.
As said by Larry Page, artificial intelligence solutions can actually represent the best kind of collaboration between humans and machines. Services like web search or automatic translation between languages already represent a high level of machine intelligence that is nevertheless under control of people. Artificial intelligence solutions can free talent from routine and repetitive tasks, enabling them to work higher order functions. Some of the Indian startups are doing groundbreaking work in this space. Manthan from Bangalore has developed Maya, an AI-powered conversational agent for business analytics. Another startup, Tutul from Bangalore, is leading the way in healthcare by developing intelligent screening solutions to make diagnosis through AI-powered analysis of medical data.
Recognizing AI's potential to transform economies, Niti Aayog's AI for All aims at providing technological leadership in AI for maximizing social impact. India, being the fastest growing economy with the second largest population in the world, has a significant stake in the AI revolution. Today, when AI and ML are no longer organizational priorities but national priorities, we are seeing head of states lead the charge for AI policy in countries like Israel, China, Germany, and Canada. Will India rise to the occasion and make a mark on the future? Will we see strong collaboration between industry, academia, and the government? Will India look towards its entrepreneurs to lead the way? We have an extremely knowledgeable panel who are here to share their thoughts on how India is preparing itself to lead in the age of AI.
We have Mr. Indranath Mukherjee, Head Strategic Analytics Team, Catlin. He is the current head of the Strategic Analytics Team in Catlin, India. With close to 18 years of experience in the analytics industry, he has worked with organizations located across the globe, including India, UK, Germany, and North and South America. He has delivered high-impact, data-driven strategies through statistical and machine learning models that has consistently driven business value. His past employers include Deloitte Consulting, Accenture, EXL, and Fractal Analytics. Mr. Mukherjee has completed his Masters and MPhil in Economics from Jawaharlal Nehru Vishwavidyalaya and graduation in Economics, Mathematics, and Statistics from St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. In addition to his corporate profile, Mr. Mukherjee is a published author and takes active interest in traveling, music, film, and is also a football enthusiast.
Our next panel member is Mr. Varun Goswami, AVP and Head COE, Newgen. He is the Associate Vice President and Global Head of New Products at Newgen Software Inc. He has over 18 years of experience in business process management, enterprise content management, customer communication management, and case management solutions. He joined Newgen in the year 1997 as a senior programmer. In 2008, he was promoted to the position of Associate VP, where he is currently leading the Center of Excellence team for Customer Communication Management, only known as managing analyst engagements and expanding customer base. He is a graduate in computer science from Delhi University and carries an avid interest in the field of robotic process automation, analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and mobility.
Our next panel member is Mr. Hetal, Head of Products and co-founder Kognetics. He is the co-founder and current Head of Product Management at Kognetics, which is an intelligence augmentation platform for enterprise decision making. The company has been helping investment banks to dramatically transform their deal sourcing engine by bringing real-time decision analytics to buy-side and sell-side idea generation. He brings management consulting and product management experience in technology, M&A, and private equity domains. Prior to establishing Kognetics, Mr. Shah has been associated with Boston Analytics in various capacities, majorly as the head of products and strategy delivery. He has also worked with IBM, BBC Global News, and Hexaware Technologies. At IBM, he led international client management engagements for strategy and marketing. Mr. Shah holds an MBA, Corporate Strategy, from CASS Business School, London, and Computer Science Engineering degree from University of Mumbai.
Our next panel member is Mr. Anurag Verma, CEO and co-founder FN MathLogic. He is the co-founder of FN MathLogic, which is a specialty analytics consulting firm focusing on helping clients incorporate machine learning in day-to-day decision making. He has more than 20 years of experience in analytics and consulting across North America, Europe, Australia, and Asia. He has considerable experience in helping clients with fraud, risk, and marketing agendas across financial services, e-commerce, and healthcare sectors. He is well versed in client engagement, building high-end analytics team, and managing P&L responsibilities. Mr. Verma holds a master's degree in business administration from IIM Calcutta and a bachelor's degree in engineering from IIT Kanpur.
Our next panel member is Mr. Sanjoy, VP Analytics, Max Life Insurance. He is working as Vice President, Analytics COE at Max Life Insurance and has more than a decade of experience in creating business value by applying analytics that utilizes understanding of business techniques and technology. He has helped to set up the Analytics Center of Excellence and drove the usage of analytics across insurance value chain, which includes marketing, distribution, underwriting, operations, and digital. He has also been instrumental in setting up analytics in group companies, including Max Group and Max Healthcare. Prior to joining Max Life, Mr. Choudhury was working with Cognizant as an engagement manager in enterprise analytics, where he led consulting assignments with life science firms to provide analytics-based solutions for their sales and marketing challenges. His academic credentials include being a gold medalist in Masters in Business Economics, University of Delhi. He is an engineer and has completed several courses, including Advanced Analytics for Management, Marketing and Analytics for E-commerce, Big Data, Machine Learning, and Data Science from prestigious institutes, namely IIM Ahmedabad, ISB, and IIM Bangalore. Mr. Choudhury is an avid cyclist and loves traveling and hiking.
The moderator of this panel is Mr. Sanjoy Choudhury, Country Head and Vice President, Evalueserve. He is the Global Head of Operations at Evalueserve. He has set up the research and analytics business for Evalueserve in the area of financial services and technology. He has worked in a management consulting role in IT services and the industry association, FICCI. Currently, he helps clients develop their data strategy and application of analytics for business use cases. Mr. Choudhury is very active in the development of AI use cases internally and through best-in-class partnerships in multiple technology areas, including product development and M&A in this space. He did his MBA from the National University of Singapore and Bachelor's in Business Administration from Delhi University.
We would also like to welcome Mr. Amit Mathur, Head HR of Newgen Software, to Sapience 2018.
The panel discussion will last for 90 minutes, including 15 minutes of question and answer round for faculties as well as students. We now request Mr. Sanjoy Choudhury to start the discussion.
Thank you very much for all the introduction. I am amazed to see the number of people over here, including all the photographers who are taking our snaps. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting session because there's a lot of a lot of talk I heard about what AI can do. There's just so much we talked about in the last couple of years. The last time I had attended the session at the Great Lakes Institute, I was talking about big data. So I guess big data has now moved to AI. So we'll talk more about AI. All the esteemed panel members over here will help demystify AI for you, what it would mean for what is happening across the world, not just in India but across the world. And we could also talk about a few use cases that the government of India might be taking using AI. What applications could there be? But more importantly, what does it mean for you as you look forward to your corporate career? Whether you go into research in this space, whether you look for a job, whether you're a business manager, how would AI be important for you? We just want to help you demystify that. So the first question I have actually for the audience, does anybody know when did the concept of AI come up? 2015? Okay, so at least we got the decade right, so somebody said 1956 to be exact. So it's the first thing is AI is not a new concept, it's been there since the 1950s. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to remember. So why is there so much hype that we're talking about it now and we did not talk about it in 1950s? The 1950s, there was a hype. There were two cycles of hypes which AI went through. One in the 50s and then again in the 80s. And both those hypes did not work out or did not realize the benefits that people thought it would. So a lot of funding stopped. But it was mainly a preserve of the research community. It did not go down to the businesses. What we are seeing in this third hype, and I would expect that maybe it's not all hype. There's a lot of reality because we heard about certain use cases, self-driving cars, medical records, etc., being examined by artificial intelligence, face recognition software. So we talk about a lot of these use cases, but in this third phase, we would like to believe that this is less of a hype, but we can still help again demystify what is real. So this is the third sort of rebirth of AI, where we are seeing that because of the advent of distributed computing, the fact is AI to be successful needs a huge amount of data. Now, how do you capture data? First of all, were we generating this kind of data earlier? The answer is no. So new age internet companies were the first ones who started generating a lot of data. And when you start generating data, that is when you start having better and better results. So first part, which we talked about, big data part. The way I define big data is the plumbing that is needed for AI to work. So you had distributed computing, you had lots of data, digital data coming in, which helped the use cases that AI currently that are based on AI. The second concept that you need to remember is that there are three things that work very well in AI, and everything else that follows are applications of that. First is the ability of machines to shift through data. The second is the ability of machines to basically understand language, text and audio. And the third is the ability to process images or videos. So these are the three basic pillars for AI to work. Everything that you see as an application area in today's world is based on these three pillars. Could be a combination of them, could be an individual case study. So for example, the self-driving car is reading a lot of images. It's basically processing images and video on a live basis. There's data, there are sensors that are built in which basically have predefined rules, but those rules are learning on their own. So these are all applications, and it also responds to, let's say, voice commands. So there are different applications or the pillars of AI which come together to make a self-driving car work. So, I can go on and on for hours over here, but I'm sure, the esteemed panel members would have a lot of nice examples to talk about. And I'll also request them, and maybe in the second round, we could come to what does it mean for India, and what does it mean for you in the job market. So maybe we'll start like this in the same order that we were introduced. So, Indranath, would you like to go first?
Am I audible? So because the moderator has already spoke about the aspect of demystifying AI as a concept, if I want to cut down the hype, I won't be looked as a very pessimistic person here. The reason I want to cut down the hype is that anything that people talked about is not a fact there. So let's get the fact out and take the mean part of it. So I'm much like the two earlier AI hype cycle. There were a lot of money that was thrown, but as Sanjoy put it, that it was mainly in the academia and research area. But when we see today, nations, including India, are investing money on artificial intelligence related things in different ways. And I'm not going to talk about use cases now. And public institutions and private institutions are spending money in different formats. They are buying hardwares, softwares to get their technology stack upgraded. They are hiring people with very sexy design title like data scientists, management scientists, and things like that. Realistically, not everybody is realizing enough business value of it yet. Obviously, there are certain firms, certain nations which are thinking of application of AI as a way of solving problem in a more smarter manner. But in many cases, and I go on to say that in most cases, all this money flowing, it's kind of that they need to do it as well because everybody is doing that. So the dangerous part of this is that AI could be termed as a scam in 5 years' time. If we spend so much money, what did we get? If that happens, then it will be that AI was another scam. So AI around 3.0 was a scam. So that must not happen. It's something that as a member of the analytics or AI or machine learning, whatever you call it, as a member of that fraternity, my humble request is to look at this as a way of solving problem. How, as Sanjay said, that there is tremendous amount of data, and although even today for some people, there's a section of people who still believe data is some kind of a flat file, a .csv file. Somebody is talking about that. One organization for them still data is a CSV file. Today, data gets created, data is getting generated every moment, and somebody will use and somebody will abuse that data. Now, how to use that data, and thankfully today we have technology to analyze the data, be it structured data, be it unstructured data. I mean, even 5 years back, unstructured data means text data, which is not in a structured row column fashion. But today there is audio, there is image, there is video, it is all over. I mean, unstructured data is the bulk, and structured data is only a small part of it. And thankfully today we have the technology, tools and technology to analyze those data. Now, I said, we must understand that AI should be, whether it's a self-driven car or it's a making decision with some drone image captured through drone, is that all of these should help us solve certain problems or take certain decisions in a more smarter manner than there was a time when there was no data. So if we, 50s or even 80s, when the AI had been, since the data storage system was not around in the 60s or 70s. People used to write in files and they would get stacked. So just looking at the data was not possible. And also, research in life science shows that human brain, we cannot compute compound interest. I mean, we can do simple interest and a lot of things, but compound interest, if we start calculating on our brain, human brain is not capable of doing that. Now we have tools which can do much more complex calculations. So because we have these enabling tools, we should be able to solve problems in a much smarter way. And that's how you should look at AI. AI does not mean good Python coding capability. Yeah, it's an enabler. If you're a smart coder, that's a good help. But the way I look at it, and the way I want everybody to look at it, that are we generating enough tangible benefit by using data through these tools and technology? That I think would be my introductory remarks on that topic. And I'll talk about how India is getting ready and probably compare it to some of the global experiences. And then in the third round, we'll talk about what it means for students here.
Yeah, hi. Thank you, and thanks, Sanjoy, for the introduction. I come from slightly different perspective. I bring a slightly different perspective. I come from a product company. We have a background of process automation and content management. What that means basically is for large organizations, we end up automating their processes, whether it's a loan application processing process or it's a claims processing application. Now what happens is, as part of this process automation, once we've defined what are the different activities, what are the different rules that are going to be there, then people actually start working on these processes. Okay. When people work on these processes, there are basically three categories of people who are working. The first category is completely manual work. Copying data from one screen to another, downloading certain files from the websites, or moving from one FTP location to another, executing macro scripts, all of these things. If you look at it, a lot of work has started happening automating these manual tasks through RPA bots. So you would have already heard of robotic process automation. So they have already started doing all of these manual activities. You simply record and you start playing them. The second is semi-intelligent activities. Okay, semi-intelligent activities doing data entry. So I look at a document, read the data, enter it in an application form. Okay, or I do document classification. I say this is an Aadhaar card, this is a passport. Okay. This is one set of application which does not really require artificial intelligence. You can have simple machine learning algorithms or rule-based systems, OCR technology, which can do automation of these kinds of processing. The third category is where we are looking at a lot of work being done in artificial intelligence is the decision making. Whether I should accept or whether I should grant a loan to this person or not. Right? There's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of cognitive capability behind this. There's a lot of experience that you carry. Where does experience comes from? So there's a statement, good judgment comes from experience comes from bad judgment. Right. So obviously you've done a lot of processing over a period of time. You have a lot of data that you've processed, and hence you're able to take a decision. Right. It is this third part where we feel that artificial intelligence can add a lot of value. So if you look at, I'll take a simple example. You look at credit, if you apply for a credit card, at one point of time, it used to take almost 20-25 days to decide whether to give you a credit card or not. There were a lot of people who were going through your account statements, who were going through your tax certificates, who were going through your credit profile, and finally coming up with a decision whether to grant you a loan or not. Today, if you go online, all of this data is readily available, right? And you can have a credit card decision within minutes rather than within days. Okay. So, if I talk about a practical application, and I think this point was very interesting because when businesses are investing in artificial intelligence, they are not doing it for an academic purpose. The reason they are spending money in that is because they expect this technology to deliver business value, which can help them increase their profit, which can help them increase their sales, which can help them increase their customer base. Right? So I see artificial intelligence more from a business perspective and how it can be applied to business and how can it deliver value to business. And as I think as we go ahead, without another discussion, we'll definitely come out with more examples that relate to this.
Thanks, Varun. I'll stretch a bit on, you guys can hear me? Yes. I'll stretch a bit on the third point you said, which is AI for decision making. And that's where I've kind of myself made a very strong. And for me, AI is now not artificial intelligence, but it is augmented intelligence. What is it augmenting? Right? It is augmenting decision making. Right? It's not automating decision making. It's not going to make decisions for you. It's going to augment that. I'll give you a simple example. Right? You're going on a bike with your girlfriend, right? And you're dropping her home. And that is a good example. I'm sure a lot of this happened to me. And you know, you ask Google, right? What's the fastest way to your home? And Google obviously, the longest way, right? So, you know, obviously Google Maps will point to either the longest way or the fastest way. But it'll also give you options. It'll give you 3 options. And then say, you know, you as a good boyfriend would like to drop her safe, right? And you would then make sure that you take the fastest route. But then, you know, you just say girlfriend का आवाज आता है, नहीं, ये route मत लो, इधर नीलू आंटी कुछ walk करती है शाम को. दूसरा route. Then you are like, नहीं ये दूसरा route भी नहीं ले सकते हैं. यहाँ पर तो मेरे पापा चाय की दुकान पे बैठे होते हैं. वो भी देख लेंगे तो क्या सोचेंगे? तीसरा route. And that is the fastest or the long. That is the longest route, but then it makes sure that you know neither Hindu auntie sees you nor your papa sees you, right? So you have made that decision, but Google has helped you make that decision. Augmenting decision making is where AI is going to play a big role. Say that again.
So that's what you did.
That's what I did. In fact, I said let's not go. But decision making, right? See, decision making for a long time we believe was an area where humans or experts measure in, right? That's something that we take pride in. We can make decisions. We have the capabilities to make decisions, and that I think still remains true, right? AI is not going to automate decision making; it's going to augment that. Now, how is it going to do it, right? So Sanjoy here talked about AI's capability to sift through data, AI's capability of recognizing images, AI's capability of understanding language and audio and so on and so forth. That's sensing, right? The second big part is comprehension, right? Now for comprehension and comprehending and then helping somebody make decisions, you need a lot of domain context. Right? You need expert point of view in, right? So, in my view, AI and augmented intelligence is incomplete without an expert in the middle, right? So, it's not going to replace an expert. It in fact needs the expert even more than what it used to in the past. And I'll tell you the reason why. A lot of AI engines now are actually replicating the way you think, right? And hence, an expert has to know that this is how I'm thinking. He has to actually think about how he's thinking, right? So that he can potentially replicate that into a machine and have the machine do what he's trying to do, right? And that's where the domain context comes in, right? So for me, AI, the thought that I want to park with you is think of AI as an augmented intelligence, and think of AI as it's something that's augmenting the expert. So the expert is always in the center. And when we come to the third round of the discussion, what it really means for you guys, I'll come back to this point where my having expert in the center and what it means for you guys is very, very important. Two thoughts: augmented intelligence, augmenting the expert for decision making, not automating decisions.
Thank you. I think we've heard wide variety of views. I'm going to add my own views to that mix and give you a slightly different perspective. And what is AI? AI is simply any technology or any effort to make machines behave like human beings. Right? So if we're going to say, we say human beings are intelligent, and we're coming to a point where saying, okay, can machines outside somebody else, and machines who get designed can also become intelligent and think like human beings. And the reason AI has gathered so much of steam in the last few years is that we have seen cases where machines have actually become more intelligent than human beings in certain specific tasks or what's called narrow AI. And that's the interest saying, okay, are we at that stage where we are saying that machines will become thinking like a human being? And in fact, some of the latest results are very exciting in the sense they're saying machines are able to now replicate how human beings learn through reinforcement learning or so it seems like we are on the cusp of something where we can get machines to sort of almost behave like human beings, and in fact they are beating human beings in certain capabilities like reading handwriting, surface recognition, all of those. So we've all obviously consuming AI. And if you think you're not typing AI, you are mistaken. If you use Google, you are using AI. When you type a simple query in Google, you will see that it gives you predicts you what is the next word it should be. And these are all, what I say is kind of AI technology driven. It's not what it used to be a few years ago. If you go to use Facebook, your face is instructed. That's all driven by AI. We are all consumers of AI in a big way. How it's going to impact us? AI is, as people have said, it needs a lot of data. So anything where you have a lot of experience, you can collect a lot of data, you can be sure that we have the kind of technology that will make that task or decision making very, very easy. What we don't have yet is how to deal with totally new situations. And I think that's where a lot of research is going on in AI. So if you're worried about whether it's going to impact your jobs, etc., you should think about saying whether your job can be broken into things which are routine and you're doing that every day, or are there new aspects, other things that you don't have. I think that's still a domain where I think human beings still have an edge over these algorithms or machines, saying if there is no data, then what to do. Maybe there are people who talk about what's called zero-shot learning, or saying without any history can we do it, but I don't think we have reached that point. But I think they're in very, very interesting time and space thing, what it can become from here, very interesting.
I think so. I'm the one who's going last. So the good thing is that everyone has talked about it, and I have enough pointers to, put in my perspective on top of it. But what I'm going to do is, try and tell you, like, we heard different views out here. Like Indranath talked about that there's a lot of hype, and we talked about how the businesses are using it. We augmented intelligence, and there are a lot of new things that are coming in. See, essentially when we talk about AI, and I again say that, there's a lot of hype about that particular thing, that, that AI thing will come, take your jobs, they're trying to do a lot of other stuff. But in reality, what's happening is that this entire AI is being fueled by a lot of the data that's being generated, and the amount of compute power that's been becoming more and more cheap. So you can actually do a lot of algorithms, you can try and predict a lot of stuff. So, but in reality, what's happening, well, I come from an industry, the insurance industry. So what I see is that, it's a very new technology that is coming in, AI. So when I look at AI and its adoption in the Indian companies, what you will see is that a lot of it is actually being in the area of, process automation. So let's say I have operation services in which I'm seeing that, a customer sends out a request to me that I need my premium receipt. Now, today I have a guy who's sitting there who's going to read that particular thing. I can have a bot actually do that particular job. Or let's say as, Varun talked about that data entries and all that stuff. So one of the areas which is actually being booming is this entire process automation. And when you look from an organization's point of view, that makes a lot of sense because that's the use case wherein you have a very positive benefit statement. See, as I say that, we talked about it earlier as well, that none of the organizations are in this entire AI thing for research basis. They want to have a positive benefit statement. So when we look at from that particular perspective, and if I'm going to be consumer of an AI, I would want a positive benefit statement. So if I use this thing, what is the cost reduction or a service? So that's why you will see that as a low-hanging fruit, a lot of companies are getting into the RPA and process automation. Now, the second application area, what I call is the cognitive engagement. That is something like, you will have to actually reaching out to different customers. So chatbots. So you go to any of these websites, HDFC Bank, all the banking things, there are chatbots now. That's the second case where we know that a particular customer is coming to me, he would have certain predisposed need or a service that he has in mind. So why not actually, rather than have a human element, why not have a bot? Because this chatbot can actually service multiple customers, it can do the work in more efficient manner. So that's the second place where the organizations are going in. And believe me, chatbot is, at least it has a lot of components of NLP and everything, but given in India, we have multiple languages. Linguistics keeps on changing from a single area within Delhi from south to north. It becomes different. So you will see that the way we are being deploying chatbots would be, it's like more like a there's a upfront being given. These are the 5 things that this bot can do. Okay, you have come and interacted and you want to know your bill, click here, and then it starts working. So it's not exactly a conversational chatbot. So even in abroad, there are very few cases of a conversational chatbot that has come in. So that's the second area where a lot of companies have started picking it up. And that's how we see a lot of new startups coming in this phase of NLP and chatbots that they're saying that it will help you process this. The third one that is like core to me and what I've been doing called what is the cognitive intelligence or the machine learning that we talked about, or the augmented intelligence. Now, that is an area that is it's a pretty I would say that it's a vast area, and it depends on the use cases that is coming in. And I would say that it will take somewhat amount of time whether the companies will start using that in a truer sense. And I again say yes, it's actually augmented intelligence because given the context, the way the things are, I would not fully rely on an AI. Let me give you an example. Like we are coming in the medical space, we are saying that a deep learning model which can actually help in predicting the cancer detection in a much more faster rate and at a lesser time as compared to the human doctors and everything. Now at the end of the day, it can be a false positive. You can be actually detected with a cancer, but in reality it is not. So in that particular case, you would never ever rely on an AI perfectly. So what it does is rather than it goes to a lot of data and everything, and it gives a judgment which again requires an expert in that particular field to go through it. The second is the highly regulated industries like finance. Okay, so like we are like insurance and everything. I get claims. Our organization is in business of paying out claims, and every single claim that we reject has a huge negative cost. People can go to a particular IRDA, or they can put in legal costs and so forth. Because our job is that if people die, we have to pay them back their monies. So in that particular case, if I have an AI system which says do not pay, it's a fraud, I still would want a particular claim investigator to go through it because it's a check that we would want to do it. Because we don't want to have a risk wherein a particular guy, it doesn't turn out to be a fraud. Because there are always the cases of false positives coming in. So that's where we have to be very careful as to how we adopt AI. But at the same point, what we are seeing, there are multiple case studies. There are excellent examples where AI is helping the end customers, the people, and being kind of services that have been given. And there are also cases where the AI has completely gone wrong. So I can give you an example of policing in Chicago. What they did was, they wanted to actually have a system which can help the judges and everything to pass on and sentence. So they trained the entire model based on the historical data. Now automatically the bias creep there. So whenever there was a particular person of who was not a white, he would typically get a higher sentence because from historical data, they would have figured it out that if the race is this kind of a thing, it plays an important factor. And that's kind of a bias that's coming in. Because in whatever the data that is being there, that's being used for training these systems, that has an inherent human bias. That automatically is getting picked up. So this is one case where AI is not being able to help. There is another case wherein there's a device which is essentially for newborn babies. What it does is when you put a newborn baby to sleep, it actually tracks their entire health parameters. Now, there are cases specifically in US in that particular thing, the device has sounded alarms and the life of a baby was saved because it was able to detect that that this particular given that the vital signs are going like this is a kind of a problem area that's going to happen. And in fact, interestingly, there's another interesting case study where in an Apple Watch helped predict a particular lady that she's going to have an heart attack. And she actually drove to a hospital and she was saved. So, there are cases where these things have helped, but then at the same point, there are a lot of cases where we are seeing that AI might be going in a direction which might not exactly be ready for consumption directly by the organization. So when you look at organizations, and I'm saying from a consumption, not from a creation kind of a thing, because most of the industries will be consuming these things, they will typically want either a proven case study or first is a positive benefit statement. That my cost benefit analysis, because these things are not cheap. They're pretty expensive technology and it requires a lot of things. So it should not happen that I end up with a particular thing and it doesn't actually give me the benefit. In a lot of cases like that. So the bottom line is that this AI is going to stay for here, and it is not at least this only going to go much more better. And the fact why this will go better is because of the amount of investments that the tech giants have done. So if you go to any, typically in the Western world, most of the PhDs would have either been with the US corporations like let's say Google. Google has a big brain, Google brain. They are just hiring most of PhD people, all lecturers and professors. Then you have the Chinese companies like Tencent, Baidu, who are also actually coming into this entire race. So this is the amount of investment that's been going through and amount of data that we are generating. This time the hype is going to last. And the important thing is that how do we use AI for a country like India where we have billion people to solve for certain social good. That would be an interesting thing. Because for organizations, it's always a profitability and they will figure it out. But how can we use AI for actually solving for a lot of problems that a country has? That would be an interesting aspect to see.
Thanks, Sanjay. So, as you heard, our jobs and businesses depend on AI to succeed, which is why we've made a very, very strong case of why AI 3.0 is not a hype. Okay. Now, a couple of things that have actually come out very, very useful topics over here is that you, just because of the all the points made out on false positives, you cannot use AI for decision making on core activities. You can use it to sift through data, you can basically use it to throw out a lot of junk, but you cannot say that I'm going to base my claims on what AI is going to be. So the point that you guys made on augmented AI or decision making is a very, very important point for everybody to remember. AI is not going to replace the human element that is there in businesses today. So we coined a term called mindless machine. The machine is going to automate a lot of things. The machine might take away certain kinds of jobs, and we'll come to that, but it's not going to take away the mind component that is applied in a lot of situations. So the first thing you should look at is which jobs should you be looking at where you apply your mind, and don't look at jobs which can be automated away, because I can see at least a few industries like chatbots. The entire customer service industry will face such a huge churn because a lot of people are not going to be speaking to humans when they call a customer center. They're actually going to be, every company is employing chatbots. It's the easiest form of AI to enable. At least the first 10 questions are already answered. Whether it's an airline site or whether you buy some product, you want to ask some questions, it recognizes what you're trying to say in spite of the fact that you might have, linguistic issues in India. But I'm sure in the next couple of years, we'll basically bridge that. So, what should you be looking at? The first thing that you need to remember is that you're not trying to build, not everybody in this room is going to try and build AI systems. AI, you need to remember, is largely open source, which means that you will basically use the work that the brainiest people in the world have already done. You just need to look at how to apply it. The second is application. Is it so easy? It's not. Why? Because you need tons and tons and tons of data. So what is going to be the competitive advantage in this space? It's actually going to be data ownership. So what you will see is the people or the companies which have the highest amount of data are the ones who are going to succeed in this business. For example, just let's think about this. Photograph recognition. We have probably 1 billion people covered under the Aadhaar system, and everybody's photographs and fingerprints are there in the system. Which company do you think can do the best facial recognition? Is it UADI? It's probably Facebook, because Facebook has the largest repository. UADI has only one snap of yours. Facebook has probably thousands and thousands of snaps. Every snap that you upload where you are present, it has a repository of that. So the AI system will slowly start recognizing whether you get up in the morning or before you're going to sleep, or you've just taken off your helmet after dropping your bike, your girlfriend. After dropping your girlfriend and your hair is standing up, it will still recognize you as you. So because it has basically all the data that it needs. So data is going to be a key differentiator for businesses who want to apply AI. And in the process, everybody is looking at how not to miss the boat. So there's a lot of investments going in because everybody feels that if I don't put in money, somebody else will win the battle. So it's great business right now, but you will see certain convergence in a lot of technologies as well as the use cases, and there will be few players who will probably be the AI kings in terms of the business application, and others are going to borrow from it. So because AI will be open source, all you need is thinking from a business standpoint, feeds from various multiple sources, and you need to try and figure out how to integrate those. So maybe that's a theme that we should talk about. First theme is jobs. So as my children would be ready for college, I probably can't tell them which stream of education they should choose, but I can probably tell them which stream of education they should not choose, because I know that in the next 5 years, by the time they graduate, those jobs in some of those streams might not exist. So I'll probably ask them to become creative artists.
So it was a nice cycle. I started saying that AI could turn out to be a scam if we don't use it well, and AI 3.0 might not succeed. Sanjoy finished that it's going to be here. So we heard different perspectives. And I think one of the aspects that the other Sanjoy, the moderator, mentioned that how you want to think about AI, what are the from a student perspective, the other one also, and because the panelist Sanjoy mentioned that, I know you're talking about chatbot, and being a little familiar with what India is doing from initiative from the government perspective is trying to create chatbot in multiple languages. So they've taken some 26 languages, and that's it's one of the easier application. And I think the first round Varun classified things very nicely. There are areas which is very mundane work, just checking a few things like that. That today in little developed state, it's done by a machine because human beings are not required to do those things. And then there are, as you said, semi-intelligence, probably the term you use. It's things like, probably most of you, the students especially here, are too young to know. There was a time when data entry job was in vogue. People would try to learn basic computing just to enter data. And those jobs are going to go away. And it's actually not bad if you think of it, for those jobs to get away. You don't want to do something which you don't enjoy, which should, whatever you want to do, that should be exciting enough for you to carry on. If if it turns out that every day you get something and you put those data, in some kind of system, very soon you lose interest in it. And as Hetal said that, however intelligent machine becomes, in every decision making, the subject matter or the context expertise will always be relevant. As I said that, Anurag said in many of the cases that machines' accuracy is higher than human beings. It's very natural because, as I said in the first round, that we cannot compute compound interest, let alone we are doing an XGBoost modeling in our brain. That's not possible. So multivariate thinking is not a human gift. Okay. So we can only mostly think univariate manner. That's our limitations. But what is here is that we can see result and apply it better if we understand the context better. Human machines will not necessarily have the context. It will be trained, it will be have enough experience in terms of data for the context, but there will not be a single model for enabling better decision making which is error free. There will be certain percentages of error, and there could be certain areas where those errors could be overlooked. For example, if a company wants to run a massive marketing campaign and it runs models and things like that, it says, I put this data, this is the product I want to launch, just give me the people who are likely to accept it. So all the modelings and everything would be done through, analyzing structured and unstructured data. There could be certain individuals or certain communities who, although the machine would suggest, or AI technology output would suggest that they're likely to have a positive response to an offer, but in reality they won't, but it doesn't, it's not a big deal. Because in most likely the model's success rate will be higher and most of the people who are targeted will be responding positively to an offer. But there could be cases like fraud or say medical cases where it's a big deal to make mistake of a smaller percentage as well. There would be multiple, very advanced machine learning models, lot of rules, but human intervention will have to be inevitable there. And the way I see what's happening in India at a ground level and as a low-hanging fruit, there are a lot of basic activities around trying to automate, trying to get chatbots. Then there are areas, we are getting a lot of satellite views and everything. There are, we've been hearing about smart cities and all of that, and everywhere the concept of AI is being applied. It's not yet, I'd say, in a stage where things are ready and most of the human job is going to get redundant. But I think, especially startup, young students are in a very good shape to think about what is it that is going to interest you. Just to disagree to some extent with Sanjay that some of you can actually start becoming innovators and start creating things in the AI space. And which could be the problems that today we are not thinking about, but it might come to your mind and start working on it, and you could be creating an AI application that would help solve a problem much more efficiently with the use of the available technology. Some of you who could be more, I'd say, tech savvy might do innovation in the technology space or at there. Then I mentioned in the first place that some of you may be very smart programming people, very smart coder. You'll probably build the best possible automation engine, or if some of you may have inclination towards statistics, so you could probably build the best models. So there will be enough areas for each one of you to develop your skill set further and be a part of the AI journey if it stays. I mean, I obviously hope and optimistic stays so that I keep having my job and keep seeing this movement in a positive manner. I want to remain pragmatic so that we don't lose focus and we don't get blown away with the hype. And there is enough and more opportunity in different aspects in the AI journey for each of us to expertise and become really good at, so that all of us are part of this, whether it's augmented intelligence or faster, more efficient, and definitely smarter decision making.
Yeah, and so jobs you mentioned, and I think there would be two aspects that I would like to cover regarding jobs. One is what kind of jobs should you be looking at, or what kind of jobs I would ask my children to get into, and the other would also be because we're looking at a lot of automation and we are talking about machines taking away jobs, which is a sensitive topic for a country like India, where a large part of our freshly minted engineers or graduates ultimately end up doing back office processing for large conglomerates. We have call centers, we have BPOs, and so let me come to the first part regarding what kind of jobs we should look at. Now, if I were to kind of do a single definition, a single line definition, I would say you should look at jobs where you add value to the business. If you are able to generate value, that is exactly the right kind of job. Now, machines might be able to tell you whether you should give a particular claim, whether you should issue a credit card or a loan. But machines definitely cannot come up with new types of products or new type of credit card which can target a specific customer base, right? Or a new type of home loan which would be very relevant to up and coming young professionals. Okay, so the idea is, how do I generate more revenue? How do I generate more business? And look at jobs or look at profiles where you can add value to the business, because everything else, you're doing project management, coordination, everything else is more of manual activity, right? So that's the first part. Second part, if I look at the Indian context, and I look at, because I also look at robotic process automation along with artificial intelligence, and a lot of back office processing that we are doing in India today is actually more of manual or semi-intelligent activity, which can simply be done by machine learning bots. Having said that, I think there is a huge opportunity for us, because, like Sanjoy rightly mentioned, whoever has the data has the models, has the control, has the insights of what is happening. When we are doing a lot of this outsourcing, we have huge amounts of data from all of these organizations. So what is stopping us from building learning models, from building neural networks, and applying strategies to come out with relevant insights for this data? Okay, so I think we definitely need to move up the value chain instead of doing simple data entry jobs or simple processing jobs. We should look at how can we use this data. We should definitely, as a country, we should invest in hardware, we should invest in storage, we should build up these silos, and then we should look at how can we build models which can give me relevant insights into this data, which I can then give back to the parent organizations. Outsourcing is a value, I mean, it's completely value based. So if I have 4 people doing a job, tomorrow I can have a bot doing the job, I would rather do that, right? It does not really add value to the business. But the moment I'm able to build learning models, the moment I'm able to build neural networks on top of that data, whether it's structured, unstructured, images, documents, that is when I'm able to add value to the business. Okay.
So let me just start by saying one thing. Or everyone in this room is going to get a job in the end. Okay? And that's not because you won't get that job. It's just because there are better things to do in life. So let's just first establish that AI is not the be all and the end all. And it shouldn't be the aim of each and every one person that's sitting in the room. It shouldn't. Okay, so that's the first thing. But secondly, if you choose to work in AI, and I'm gonna kind of diverge from the word jobs, and I'm gonna replace it with, if you wanna create value for yourself in the space of AI, there are three ways in which I believe you can do it. Alright? First is you can be an implementer. You can implement systems, AI systems. That's the first. Right? And I'd probably say you create some value for yourself, but not a whole lot. So if your aim in life is I want to learn R and I want to learn Python and I want to implement systems, let me just break your dream here. You will create some value for yourself, but it is required. The second really is, and we established that, right? AI augments and it augments the expert. And hence, in AI systems, and as things become more and more AI driven, the expert will have a lot of value in the entire value chain. And hence, it's in your benefit if you specialize and become a domain expert in a field of your choice. And so that's the second way in which you can, create value for yourself within the AI space, right? The third, which I think Sanjoy hinted on, which is creative design and so on and so forth. I think I'm a firm believer, design thinking is going to be at the center of AI, right? People who can think about how somebody is thinking and can potentially implement it and can also potentially take the expert's expertise and put it into the machine and then build a workflow around it that can enable decision making. If you are at that third level, I think you can create maximum value for yourself. However, there is something beyond that as well. If you can do all three, you are a specialist in a certain domain, you can potentially implement that and then have a system that can potentially help others do decision making, you are a company in itself. Right? So you can potentially start a company. Right? Now, how do you go about these three levels, right? The thing that I want to part with you, Sanjoy here also, told one thing. A lot of things in AI is open source, right? Which means there are a lot of opportunities to self-learn, right? And hence, if you really want to operate in AI space and want to create value for yourself, there is no choice but to self-learn because people around you are doing it. And they're doing it at a pace which is far, far rapid than you would even believe, right? So that's one. Second, again, for the very fact that it's open source and a lot of people now know about it, collaborate. Right? Collaborate with your friends, and I'm sure together you can potentially create value for yourselves and through a job or by starting a company for yourselves. The third and the most important thing I'd say is specialize. Everyone here talked about AI is going to very quickly take up routine jobs, right? And things which are more horizontal. But the things that humans can take pride in is we because we can make decisions, right? The thing that is behind making decisions is specialization, right? And hence I'd recommend that everyone here thinks very hard about the kind of choices they make and think about or go after things where you put the problem in center and specialize in that problem. Right? So I'd say you self-learn, you collaborate, and you specialize. And again, I'm telling you, AI is not the be all and the end all. So if you don't get a job in AI, I'm sure there are better things in life for you.
Yeah, thanks, Hetal. I think very interesting points. I think that triggered a thought in my mind. Right? And this used to be several years ago. We were saying, machines were coming in, compression happening, and people said, there was one thought of people who said, one thought was said, okay, it's going to take away jobs, etc., especially in countries like India. But also in other countries, we believe that this is what we want machines to do, right? Machines to do our jobs, while we sit back and enjoy and listen to music, only. So I think you can look at it from both perspectives, right? A lot of your jobs are going to become easy. A lot of things are going to become cheap because AI is going to come in, right? Now, having a phone, it's not going to AI. I think a lot of things that happen, they're going to ease our life. So don't just look at AI saying, it's a bad thing, or it's going to ease our life. It's already eased our life to a large extent. Driving, you ask Google without even thinking. You can ask, Alexa or whatever to play your songs or whatever. So enjoy life as well. AI is going to make that easy for you. We're all going to become consumers of AI, whether we like it or not. AI is going to be embedded into any system that we're going to be using. So it's not necessary that to get the benefit of AI, you have to work right away when you get into the AI. It will come to you. It will get embedded into things that you use on a daily basis. It already is getting sort of embedded. And I think in India we have this mentality think about jobs, saying I have to get a job and get settled and all these things. But I'm saying there can be alternate perspective, which AI will enable and make it easier in that sense. And if you look at from the Western countries, they're already enjoying. France has 30, 35 hours week, and they prohibit people from working weekends or whatever. So I'm saying it's just not a bad thing that if a lot of jobs get automated and we don't have stuff to slog away. It gives us time for enjoyment as well. There's going to be a small set of people who are or I'm not small. There's going to be there's going to be jobs which AI will automate. But I'm saying that itself may not be a bad thing. We should enjoy some of the fruits that are there. The jobs that will remain, as people have said, that people are creative, new things with machines. Right now, do not have the capability. I do not know what's going to happen in 10 years. But right now, machines can only, be human beings when you have a lot of data. They have a lot of data to learn from. There are no examples. Machines they can't make good decisions. Not even decisions as well as average human beings. So we have an edge over certain things. So think about those saying that your job is a component which requires you to think through and not just follow some rules. Those are the jobs that are going to survive. Right? And lastly, saying that yes, AI is also going to open up lots of new jobs. What kind of work will AI open up? Right? First and foremost is the area of research. Right? How to improve AI and right now, if I look at, we are nowhere there in those, in terms of new techniques that are coming up, it's largely originating in US. There are a lot of Chinese, Indian government, Chinese government spending a lot of effort in terms of, sort of research into how can we improve these accuracies further, what are the new techniques, etc. So yes, if you are interested, you can go into job, but I would say, as a country, we have not been hugely successful. Although we have huge IT base and all of those things, but I don't think we are anywhere. If you look at any of research papers in this technology, I would say it will be like 40% US citizens, 40% Chinese, and then rest we will have 5 to 10% Indians in those papers who are there. So that's a niche area that's there, but I think we are far behind. But that's not to say that you cannot take it up. Some of you, if you're interested, you can do that. If you want to really do that, then you have to go to those relevant universities. But I don't think that kind of research is really supported in the Indian environment as of today. But that's one portion of job. And then, as people say that once those techniques are there, you need to really apply it, right? There'll be a lot of application of those into different problems, and that's where a lot of new jobs are going to be created. So you take something which is there, right? So I don't think we will have, and some of the space already. Like I'll give you an example, like voice recognition. Voice recognition, there was a lot of research going on for years, but now we are at a stage where I don't think it makes sense for any company to invest in saying how to recognize work. It's already at a level 99, 90% accuracy. And the big companies, whether it's Amazon or Google or Apple, they have their own technology and they're going to give it out very cheap to you. So where the opportunities or the jobs will come is saying you take what is there and then can you apply, find more innovative applications of this to ease your business process. Or there are going to be a lot of jobs. Then you understand, or you take what is being offered by these big companies in terms of automation, whether it's job recognition or face recognition or voice recognition, and you apply it and develop some applications that will really use it. So those are, I would say, core technology, or some basic capabilities that have been built. But how they will apply into different applications, I think that's going to generate a lot of jobs as well. Obviously, more number of jobs than, so not everybody, we don't need million people trying to, research on, the new technique or whatever. We need a lot more people to take these. And, examples are like, yes, the basic technology is there for job recognition. Now, how do I change it to Indian languages, right? And after that, now what is the application, right? Where I want to apply it for diagnosing disease, we want it for customer service, and that's where a lot of jobs are going to come. Saying, take any of these, capabilities that AI is giving us. And then how do I embed it, how do I put it in business process or in devices or whatever. And that's going to generate a lot of jobs. There are also going to be jobs in companies to say, understand or, what kind of technology I should do that, to make some kind of that transitioning. It's not entirely a black box, right? So some of you can, take that kind of a job, saying I understand some of this technology and, I will sort of, help in deciding, saying where this can help, where this cannot help, develop, use cases around these jobs. But you may need to understand a little bit of both. You need to understand a little bit of the techniques that are there, their limitations, what they can do or not. So again, going into detail, but not really trying to say I'm going to improve that technique. I want to differentiate. These are the different kinds of jobs that are going to be created by AI. And I think obviously the third category, we have implementation, that's going to have the maximum number of jobs that will get created. And as technique moves, we also, some of the implementations will also improve and move. But initially, that's my vision of how this is going to play out.
Thanks.
Again, a lot of perspectives have come in. So it's a human nature. Whenever new thing comes in, that's a change management. We always fear that it's going to take away something. But if you go back historically from the first revolution, industrial revolution, the second, the third, fourth, it's just a transfer of jobs from one area to another. Like we say that, low-hanging jobs might move away, but the new jobs will come in this field of, how do I create AI? Because everything will have its own support systems. There will be new jobs being created. But even before that, whether AI is the job for you guys or you want to get into this thing, I think so. First and foremost, please try and understand, not everyone is cut out for AI. So you are all management graduates. So the important thing is to decide is that what is the kind of work that you would want to do. And the second aspect would be whether you would want to be at the consumption side or the producer side. So I'm doing a specialization in marketing, and I would want to be ideally on the consumer of AI. So if I join an organization in a field of marketing, I should be open to trying out new things that's happening in that particular thing. How can I leverage AI to do my job? So let's say I want to do a campaign, because that was one of the examples that we talked about. Rather than going back to the traditional ways, figuring out, you don't have to know the entire nitty-gritties, you just have to know that, okay, can AI help me? Can I do certain machine learning models which can tell me that? Which will help me figure out who to reach. How do I increase my return on investment on the monies that I'm taking? So when you're on the consumer side of things, you need to have an open mind and you need to just understand from a perspective which all AI technologies you can use, AI/ML, what all are the different vendors being available and things. You really do not need to know the hardcore facts about how that is going to work. It's like how you drive a car. I don't know how the engine works. I just know how to drive it because it helps me take to point A to point B. So that's what I'm saying. You need to figure it out that if you are more, inclined towards the consumer of certain things, then go that side. Now, if you are really a tech savvy kind of a thing and you want to move to the producer side, now that's the second thing. And yes, I want to create an AI systems or I want to be part of this journey wherein I will be creating certain things which others can learn. Then it's a different, different skill sets being required. I think so. I'm not going to talk about those because everyone has talked about that particular thing. But the important fact is like being a management graduates, you need to figure out that at what all things, which side of the things you would want to be. Because none of the organizations is all AI, unless until you're talking about an AI company. So if you go in Google, you have campaign managers as well, along with engineers who's actually building the system. So, figure it out what exactly drives you, what is your passion, and do not get into this kind of a rat race that since AI is coming, I want to be part of it. See that if it's a natural fitment for you, because all these new technologies require a lot of effort. I can tell you I have been in this particular industry, and all of us will agree that every year or two, people would have to learn stuff. I know you have a company wherein you're doing corporate trainings. You have to keep yourself updated. You have to invest time, and that again, as we say, that takes away a lot of time which you can do to, for doing other stuff. So think of what exactly is your passion, how exactly this is going to be. But the important thing is that this new technologies are coming in, which can definitely make certain things redundant, but will open doors in some other area. So basis your passion, what you're being studying and what you really would want to be, figure out this landscape and do it. Thank you.
So I think we've given you enough food for thought after a nice lunch for you to take a very, very educated view of where you want to be. So I just want to show of hands how many people before the session started wanted jobs as data scientists. Be truthful. Okay, so that's still not a majority. How many people still want jobs as a data scientist after this session? Okay, so that's your passion. But just remember one thing that the panel has said, that implementing AI systems is what you will do as a data scientist. Now, if you want to really create, you need to be on the research side. You can be very, very effective managers by understanding the different technologies, figuring out how these different elements work together, where do you get the best-in-class technologies, how do you stitch them together, and how do you consume it. So that's the second part, which is basically either specialize on your domain. Domain could be an industry, could be a function like marketing, or you need really the design thinking element coming in, which is you start creating something for India. Especially, with the digital India campaign, there is lots and lots of opportunities you can find where you can stitch together various elements which are already there that can make a big contribution to our country. Because as a country of 1.25 billion people, we are producing a lot of data. Just remember that data is going to be king. AI is going to enable that. So I think it's been a very, very good session. Thank you to all the panelists. We just now open it up to questions.
So, I've got a very new perspective towards the AI. But I have one curiosity left. So, Sanjay and Hetal made the point that we need humans to complement AI for better augmented decision making. But you also said that the computation power of a machine far surpasses that of human beings. For example, Google AlphaGo can be the best example of that. So as far as making mistakes go, even like with neural networks and deep learning, a machine could learn from their mistakes far better than a human being can, right? So So do you think that in business world, the human element will go at one point of time because the error rate, machine is like better than human beings in learning from their error, and the computation power of machines are far better than that of a human being?
Uh, okay, let me just take the bull by the horn and say humans are here to stay in business. It's not going to be robots driving businesses, right? Robots may get an entry into the boardrooms very soon, but they're not going to be the only guys in the room. Okay? So let's just address that. The second part that you said, right? Yes, machines can do a lot of things at scale, but directing that machine in the right direction is where the expert comes in. Right? Yes, we as a human being can probably only read one news article, right? But when we read the news article, we get immense knowledge out of it, right? Because we can comprehend, right? And then after we comprehend, we can act. Now, if we have to get the same thing out of the machine, if we have to give one news article to the machine and then make it comprehend, obviously the expert has to train the machine. Right? Yes, then after that, the machine can potentially read thousands and thousands of articles. Right? So this thing about I'm a big believer in AI for decision making, and hence I'm a big believer in domain context. Decision making is not devoid of domain context. And when you talk about context, humans are the ones who have the context, and that context needs to be imparted to the machine for the machine then to do it at scale. But then don't forget the point that Sanjoy made, right? Obviously, relying on it 100% sometimes may not be advisable for critical problems. Yes, the error rate may reduce over time. But just to address the question heads on, you won't see in future boardrooms full of remotes.
So basically, what we meant is that that in future, like we're saying that that machines will play a bigger and bigger role. But the important point over here is that all organizations are there for the consumer. Now, if everything becomes automated in that particular thing, and consumers are not able to understand, it's like a binary kind of a thing, yes or no. How do we explain it to them? So let me give you an example, like again going back to, let's say, promotions in an organization. There's a pre-HR kind of a topic that is a particular manager a better person to decide that this guy needs to be promoted, or a machine is a much better thing. I can have an AI system which will say that, okay, Hetal is a better suited to that, he should be promoted. Now, in this particular thing, you are on the other side of the thing, and I tell you that, okay, machine says Hetal, so it's Hetal. So the whole question is, how do you feel? So the important point is that, what we are saying is that rather than going to the vast things, machine is going to cut down and give a specific input. Now that one input that a particular person can actually comprehend and make a better decision. Again, like a lot of things can be predicted but not necessarily happens. The latest FIFA World Cup, I think so Goldman Sachs ran 2 million simulations and said that the finals will be between Germany and Brazil. Germany lost out in the very first round. So these are the things that someone needs to actually figure it out. Visa selections, you go for a US embassy and there's the machine telling you in or out. So that doesn't happen like that to ways. So anything that's critical in nature will require a human element. And if it's not a critical thing, yeah, some things can be automated, that's fine. But it depends what is it.
I mean, I'll add it in the answer in a more technical way. I'm saying it depends on the accuracy. Right? If you go to get to accuracy levels of 99.99%, there are tasks you go to interest machine and say, this is fine, you do it and you will eliminate human beings from that decision-making process. I'll give you a very simple example. When I passed out 23 years ago or whatever, when I joined one of the consulting companies, they didn't have an email. One of my first tasks was to choose a router and then we started sending email. And when first, you send email, managers say, I sent an email, can you call and check whether you received the email? So it was not understood because that time they did not know that it's going to be accurate. Nowadays we don't bother, right? We send hundreds of emails. We don't bother saying whether it has, it's going to reach or not reach. because the accuracy levels is like, maybe 1 in a million sometimes gets missed. It depends on accuracy levels. Once you're going to reach accuracy levels that you're going to be comfortable, then, it's no brainer that machine will replace human being in that activity. But let me tell you, no, we are far, far away from reaching a scenario for many tasks. Right? So yes, machines will come and replace human beings in certain tasks, but that simply means that human beings can focus their attention on other value-added activities.
So next question, just key point, Anurag still hasn't reached his utopia of working 35 hours a week. When he reaches that, the French standard, that's when he'll say that machines have come and taken away part of what I do.
Hello to one and all. Today's topic of discussion was preparing India to lead in the age of AI. And we all know that around 60% of India is Bharat, that is rural India. So what is the relevance of AI which will help them in their everyday struggles?
I think, on the topic, Anurag made a comment that so far what has been done, we have not been, we as a country, Bharat, India, or whatever, has not been in a leading position, where with our population, especially the young population, we should have probably done better. But to address your question directly, it's a lot of AI or analytics being, at least pilots or startups are doing work for rural areas. For example, there is a company in rural Tamil Nadu where they are trying to just see where the farmers, they realize that their crop have, they need to apply pesticides, which one they don't know, or things like that. So what they are trying to do, they are trying to provide, they created an app, which is still on a pilot stage because it lacks experience, because it doesn't have data. As you said, as much we talk about Facebook, Twitter, if you go down to the rural India, you will see a lack of data there. So they are trying to see that for every different crop that they're doing, what's the season, what are the likely pesticides that needs to come, and where are the availability. So there's a training aspect. The farmers are actually learning fairly fast. For this specific example I'm talking about, to use the app. So they know for this crop, this is my likelihood that I should get this, and they are ordering it, and they are creating a supply chain. So AI, if it's truly live up to its potential to be Industrial Revolution 4.0, it will create an entire ecosystem around it. AI will be a significant part of it, but then it's a supply chain. Okay, this villages need this kind of pesticide at this point in time here. Sanjay, at the first point, talking about data for good or social cause, there are a lot of data being used for more effective vaccination program, because it doesn't reach the village. It has a climatic condition, electricity condition. So if you look at application of AI globally, you will not find out an area where AI has not reached or at least touched. To give you an example, and I am diverting, I will come back soon. So my phone cover, so you see this is 9.75. So that's the King's Cross station from where the Hogwarts Express starts. Okay, so there was a machine which was all the 7 volumes of Harry Potter of J.K. Rowling were fed, and it was asked to try about million iteration to come up with another book. So it came up with about 1,000 books with all the tests and results. None of them made any sense. If we want, because machines can become very intelligent with a lot of data, but as per development today, machine lacks one aspect from human, which is machines still do not have emotion. Okay, so that's where, if India has to take a lead, or India has to go there, 2 aspects where, whether it's rural India or urban India, a lot of education needs to go there. 2 aspects where you should focus to take a big jump in that, to be in a leadership position, and we talked about that. I just want to know what I think Hetal said, that specialize. If you can be a good farmer, be a really, really good farmer of one crop. Specialization has absolutely no alternative. And the other aspect is that emotional aspect, which is being creative. So if I think we can go in a path of an education system which helps us to specialize and be creative, we can see ourselves as a leader, may not be in our lifetime. I mean, our panelists, I mean, we are little, older than your generation, but you may actually see the country. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'll just add to that. I think your question definitely was very interesting because when we talk about India, we have this huge rural divide. Uh, a lot of investment and a lot of funding is going on, especially in large organizations, research organizations, to develop all of these intelligent models, to decision making, and all of that. But I think specific to India, there are two aspects that we should be, looking at very closely. One aspect is the job generation. Right? With, like I mentioned, a lot of jobs in India are BPO and related IT enabled sectors. Where, if I look at the kind of qualifications that I have a huge young workforce. I have a huge number of engineers. I have a huge number of educated people who can actually understand businesses, develop models. I have a huge engineering workforce which can implement these models, right? So why should I just remain an outsourcing, destination for call centers and data entry operators? Why can't I move up the value chain? The other aspect is the rural India where no organization is going to go. If you even look at airlines, it's still Air India which serves most of the rural destinations because it's a government push. The private airlines don't want to go there, right? I think this is definitely the need of the hour where the government has to step in. And in fact, there's this very interesting hashtag AI for all, which Niti Aayog has come up with, and they are doing hackathons on that, which is trying to come up with use cases for using artificial intelligence to make better the lives or the way people in the rural areas are living. Transport, there's a huge applicability. We are talking about smart city. Agriculture, we've talked about. But if you look at smart cities, you look at citizens connecting to organizations or to government organizations. There's a huge scope for natural language processing and chatbots over there. If you talk about threat prevention or crime detection, you've got a huge amount of data which is lying in different databases of courts and law enforcement organizations, police, CBI, all of that. Why can't that data be used to predict what is going to happen at a particular location? Right? So there are a lot of different use cases which are coming up. The only thing is of course, if I'm doing a job, I'm doing it for earning, right? So I'll not go into an area where there's not much of a funding. I'll prefer to go to areas where there's a lot of funding. But I think definitely some of you would find that interesting. And as the government pushes more and more towards AI for the whole of India, not just urban India, I think you'll see a lot of these use cases coming.
I'll just add a couple of points. So I think it's going to go to Bharat, or as we call it, in two ways. One is through the government or the public sector, or whether it's application into long-running court cases or litigation, or other ways they start monitoring PDS better to ensure implementation of those plans that they have much better. So that's one. There has to be a push from adoption of these things, these technologies by government to improve, which will have an impact on even rural India. Right? So even simple thing as we have like electronic records for land, etc. And you apply some of those things to improve the system. But that push has to come from the government sector. We don't know how fast they're going to move, how soon they're going to move, etc. The other push I think is going to come because of see what happens apart from government. How do people in rural India can access AI? They need a device, right? Artificial intelligence is going to get to them through some machine. Right? They don't own a lot of machines, but I think they can get there. One medium that is available is mobile phones. So once mobile phone becomes even more cheaper and even more ubiquitous, you will see that some of these benefits, all the use cases that we're talking about on that side is like developing an app that assumes that there's a mobile phone. So I think that's the only media through which we can really get AI to people in rural setting, through mobile phones and other ones through I don't see any other way in which how we can do it.
When we talk about Bharat, we have to talk about sports. There's a startup idea here. We have investigated it, if anyone wants to, which is the smart garbage can. It's called smart garbage can. And so I'll leave it with that. If any. Oh, sorry. He's saying it's not so. It's all. Oh, okay. Yeah, if anyone is interested in smart garbage cans, I'm also interested.
I think we'll probably have time for maybe one last question.
Yeah, hi.
Or are there lots of questions?
So my question also revolves around the same concept of preparing India. So when we say preparing India, then we mean preparing the people of India to be able to use AI. Now we have seen that with each technology, be it computers or mobiles, back then, so they have a huge impact on our lives and the way we live, the way we work, and they are no more of their technology which we use as part of convenience. So they have become a part of our lives. So how do you think that AI would be able to match up to that level, and whether or not they would be able to transform our lives up to that extent?
I think some of it has already been covered in the previous question, or the answer to the previous question. Like we said, data is the enabler for AI to work. At the end of the day, devices, whether it's mobile, whether it's computers, is also going to be the enabler for AI. It's going to be the delivery mechanism. So as long as everybody in India can have access to some device, the output of what a machine comes up with can be delivered to them in some way or the other. It doesn't need to be smart. The delivery mechanism doesn't need to be smart. It could be as simple as sending an SMS. So, and at the end of the day, when you ask technologists and AI scientists, there is a concept of something called a black box. So to a consumer, AI, the results of an AI is many a times a black box. You don't know why that output has come. Whereas as a business decision maker or as a scientist, you often want a glass box. You want to see what is the algorithm. You want to see what is causing what. What is the cause and effect. Now, AI systems often are a black box. So again, the key point is, do you want to be a consumer or do you want to be a producer? In 99% of the cases, people will be consumers. And to consume it better, you need the domain expertise. So what uses AI to a farmer unless some device tells him that his crop needs to be cut tomorrow and not 3 days later. Whether it's delivered through an SMS or whether somebody comes and tells him, it doesn't matter. And he doesn't really care as long as it's 99% accurate. As long as it's 99% accurate, I think he should not have an issue. I just want to ask if my panelists want to add anything. I hope that answers your question. Since all of us decided not to answer that question, just checking if there is some very urgent question, we can take it up. Otherwise, we could take it up in the tea break after this.
This is about one of the points which was mentioned by the esteemed panel members. I think Mr. Anurag or Mr. Sanjoy had mentioned that wherever the context-based decisions have to be taken, wherever it involves a lot of context to be had before taking any decision. So when it comes to jobs like contracts, which involves contracting, suppose an EPC contract, which has many dimensions from project management to finance, techno-commercial decisions and legalities. There are different kinds of clauses of all natures. will text analytics get so advanced that it can actually take those kinds of multidimensional context-based decisions? Or, as you said, that people should look out for jobs which are more context-oriented to, deal with probably robots.
So there are two elements of it. One is technology, and the other is what will people allow, or what will regulators allow, or what will government allow. From a technology's point of view, I think a lawyer's job is probably the easiest to be taken away. Okay, because it involves a fixed set of rules. Text can read it. They use case law or case history, which basically says based on what different interpretations have people won or lost, and therefore a decision-making system can be completely created, which argues out something which basically can be taken to court. Now, whether the legal system will allow a bot to basically, give out their arguments, I don't think so. And at the same time, we will always have cases where there's some unique situation which will come, which have never had a past history. So in which case a human will be needed. So in my view, technology can do a lot of things given time, but there will be obviously, and for the right reasons, there will be regulatory pressures, social pressures, as well as logical thinking, which will come in and say that some things don't go away. That's my view, at least.
Absolutely, I agree. The text analytics technology is already there. It can do most of the boilerplate contracts. What it cannot do presently is very complicated kind of specialized tax contract or very specialized contract. It will be like 1%, 2%, less than 5% for sure.
There are not just text but other kinds of data also. Which
absolutely, we already have such systems which can do all of these boilerplate contracts. There's text, there's some picture, there's images, all of that can be done. It's only, I would say, 5% cases which are very complicated, that require raw context, etc., that you don't have any data available. Boilerplate contracts are, in some countries already being done by text. Meaning there are a lot of systems which you feed in your contract, it will tell you what your obligations are. And companies are already using that because they have hundreds of contracts and nobody has to kind of go through all 100 pages of all the contracts. So there are already systems which are doing these things. So, so internally you can do that. Whether it will stand the court of law is what he said. Regulators will decide over a period of time. So all those things may be allowed.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hope this has been an interesting discussion for you as well, as interesting as it has been for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for such a wonderful and exciting discussion. I am sure you all would be elated by the thoughts and would have got key insights about AI and ML. I request Professor Sridhar to give a vote of thanks to the panelists.
Let me just ask a quick question to all of you. Although I know that I'm here for a vote of thanks, but with one example, I'll try to set up most of the context that has been discussed since morning. How many of you have fitness bands? I see Sanjoy has one, Hetal has one, all of you have fitness band, right? So that's what we are going to find out right now. You must have heard this particular study, read this particular news about Fitbit having 6 billion nights of data, sleep nights. Have you read that? 6 billion sleep nights. Now, what does that mean for you if you have to kind of look at it as a business opportunity? What are the things that you want to do with the data? Just think for a minute and ask for yourself. What are the things that can be discovered from the 6 billion sleep nights of data? Can I just have any one response or two responses from any one of you? What is it that you want to find out, or what is it that you want to do with this data? Yes, sir.
So if we can figure out at what time a person is sleeping and at what time he's waking up, or at what point of time he's not in a deep sleep, can actually project our products to him. If he's awake, he'll definitely reach out to his phone that is next to his bed. We can project our products to him. Or we can give him a commercial, TV commercial, or we can figure out that what he'll do if he wake up. If he wake up, what kind of work he'll do. Probably he'll watch TV, probably he'll go to a website. So we can actually figure out that these are the points of time that he's awake. Let's project something to him.
One more question. This is Rash responder. So, if we can track how many hours people are sleeping, like 4 to 5 hours, we can have certain amount of data through which we can predict what amount of diseases or like medical conditions might happen in the future. So, I'll leave it as an exercise to all of you. Okay, you need to come up with at least 10 different things that you can do with this. Okay? It's kind of. All of you. Because, see, first of all that you have to do is, since the first thing that we learned in the morning, if you really look at it, is you should know what you want to do. That was the first message delivered by our keynote speaker. You should know what you want to do. And that is only when AI works for you, otherwise it doesn't work. Right? So now, you have 6 million sleep nights of data. And what is it that you want to do with the data? You have to figure it out. The data can't tell you anything. Right? So, same example. I'll tell you with this one more example. This is an example. I created a business model around it. Okay? The business model is that, like your cell phone family packs, I will sell fitness bands as a family pack. So your father can monitor what is it, how is your heart rate, what is your sleep cycle, whether you are doing any exercise or not. Entire family can kind of, monitor each other's activities. What is it going to do? How is it going to pan out? Say, for example, you have to go to barrels, watermelon barrels, what is it? What is it? Bottles and barrels, wherein you'll kind of have some good fun of different varieties. Sometimes you jump up, sometimes you have something, and then you shout. So you know that there is an irregular heartbeat that can be monitored, and if your family is monitoring you, they'll know what you're doing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what is it that you do then? You will remove the fitted bag and you tie it to your dog and then you'll go. What's going to happen then? A human heartbeat is different and a dog's heartbeat is very different, right? But then the companies, do they understand that it's a human heartbeat or a dog heartbeat? Say for example, the dog's heartbeat is higher than the human heartbeat. So your heartbeat is faster. Then what's going to happen? You'll get a message. For a soft and tender loving heart, please contact Vedanta. Yes or no? The reason is, you're having a higher pulse rate, you need to reduce it so that you become a normal person. So similarly on the downside, if your heart rate is very slow, if the heart rate of the dog is very slow, then it has to say that, for a stronger and a brave heart, contact Vedanta. Right? So you can create hundreds of business models out of these simple things. So first thing that you need to know is, what is it that you want to do? That's the first main key takeaway that's Mr. Mohan has discussed in the morning. And this is what is even echoed by the panel, because if you take a look at it, we are kind of, going to be the augmented experience or augmented intelligence that human beings would want to kind of, use based on the data. And that is the reason why we need to think, and this is what the panel has echoed, about what is artificial intelligence. And then they said that AI is going to stay here for quite some time. It's not going to be a hype. And then the first, another thing that which they talked about is one important point that I could understand from the entire conversations this morning is that we cannot drive the technology, but we can know how to use the technology. We are not going to be the drivers of the technology. There's something that we kind of, is perhaps to worry about, but most of us are in a phase where we are, like Sanjay has put it, we are going to, if you know what we want to do, we can integrate the technologies and we can make it happen. And that's the next key takeaway that you can think of. And then, so if you want to do, if you know what you want to do, then accordingly you will choose the right job that you want to do. Yes or no? So you will go for a corporate job descriptions, and in those job descriptions you would ask the question, what is the business value that I'm going to add? May not necessarily be equal to your salary, but the business value can be measured in very other terms. Whether it is going to last for 5 years, or 6 years, or 7 years, and this is one more takeaway that you can look at. Okay? So, the most important thing, one thing I would want to tell all of you is, and I think Sanjay Tawakar had mentioned it in a quick passing manner, that data, your results will be as good as your data. If data is biased, the results are also biased. Right? Let's say, for example, the Fitbit is something which, the moment you start wearing it, you know that your heart rate is being monitored, everything is being monitored, so you act in a different way. Okay? This is, you must have heard about this Hawthorne effect. Yes or no? What is Hawthorne effect? You alter your behavior if you're put in a different situation. Yes or no? So the moment you kind of, so everybody wants to pretend very nice when they wear the fitness band. Then what is going to happen? The data is going to get heavily biased and it's not going to capture the true picture. And these are some important things that you need to keep in mind. Data is something that which, let's say for example, you want to get a loan. You know that all these machine learning algorithms are going to work. So what is it that you want to do? You will make such a kind of financial statements, financial report about your company that even the stars should be assumed that they don't have that kind of an alignment. That's the kind of an alignment that would show that all profitability ratios, liquidity ratios, solvency ratios, all these ratios, they're perfectly aligned that even you are the best person to get the loan. But what happens after that? The company may even fail. So what happens is, there may be a problem in the future that data can be cooked up. And if so, can we able to detect those things? Right? So one thing we are understanding is financial fraud. Here you again look at these numbers and kind of do all those things. But please keep in mind, the entire analysis of AI is going to give you more and more opportunities. And as in the morning said, and Professor Mudit has asked this question, that please keep in mind that you have to have an open mind to do whatever you want to do. It's not programming, it's not coding, it is kind of, what is it that you want to use the most important gateway. Okay? So, this is the essence of the entire discussion, and I would like to now kind of, go about all the people who have been part of this exercise, and I would thank each of them personally. Starting with, say, for example, Professor Papa and Professor Mudit, the two stalwarts of analytics team, were very helpful in putting these people panels together and kind of providing all the necessary support. Okay? And then Professor Sam has helped me in getting Mr. Mohan from Singapore all the way, just for this keynote speech. And so I thank him personally, and I thank Professor Mohan for coming all the way and accepting our invitation. Thank you very much. Professor Umashankar has kind of, set out the entire concept for this particular Sapience. And he gets all the credit for kind of the brain behind this idea of relevance in business design, and which is very, very important given the changing times. And so, special thanks to Mr. Umashekar for this. I thank all the panel members for their excellent views. It's very exciting, and although I understand that most of you kind of, were given a very short time, you are really experts, definitely. One thing I can tell you, from the morning panel where the minimum age was around 52, your age was kind of, maybe half of that. And so it is truly kind of, understandable. But this is what is going to drive artificial intelligence. Okay? Thank you all. Thank you very much for all your support and, for making this program successful. And there are many more people, including Edwin, all our students, especially the STUCOs, EUCOM members, and the club members, analytic club members, where I made them work all night yesterday. And thanks for kind of, being very patient with me and creating this kind of a fantastic performance. There are many more people in the process, and maybe I may be forgetting some of them. Professor Kalra is one of them who kind of really helped me in getting many people. Unfortunately, some of them could not come in the last minute, so we had to cancel them. But otherwise, he was of a lot of help, and so I kind of, extremely special thanks to him. And the entire administration, right from Pooja ma'am to Samira to Mohit to everyone who kind of, were very helpful in driving the people, including the IT, Mr. Neeraj and Chandra Prakash, who made all these things effort wonderfully. So thank you everyone, thank you very much. And last but not the least, my special thanks to students for making us work on driving you from hostels to this place. Thank you all. Thank you very much.